She's beautiful, and she is going to take over our world and educate us in the next 50 minutes. So welcome, Valor. Give her a big round.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome. My name is Valor Brown. I'm from, sorry, I need to start. My name is Valor Brown, and I'm from Savannah, Georgia, originally from Chicago. I am a real estate company owner and school owner. Today, we are going to talk about what you and your clients should know about home inspections. Disclaimer, it is not the intent of this course to make anyone, it's for informational purposes only, not intended to make you an expert in any of the matters that we discuss. And because liability and legal, those go hand in hand, I suggest that you go to an attorney if you have any issues involving home inspections. You would go to an attorney who specializes in real estate to help you. The objectives of this course is to equip you with the information so that you can adequately and properly serve the best interests of your client, and so that you stay out of trouble and that you limit your exposure. So before we get started, I'm going to break the room up into two groups. You can sit where you are. The back wall is one group, and the half of just the seats here, that group, and then this group is the second one. Does that make sense? And you're going to be in a competition. So what I want you to do is, within your groups, you can turn around, 5 people or whatever, turn around and make your little subgroups. And I want you to come up with 15 common misconceptions about home inspections. Okay, and you have 2 minutes to do it. And you will be with...
Sure, come on over.
Y'all wheel over here.
We will let you in for 5 misconceptions. 5 misconceptions, you're in.
They see something wrong, they're liable to have to fix it.
No, because they miss it, like it's and they don't find out, they don't notice it. Then when it's found out later, it's like, well, you missed it on the inspection, so you have to.
Guaranteed.
Here, one of the big things is only a misconception go on a roof and there's a roof inspection and they don't have to go on a roof. You don't go to the ladder and glance at the roof and say, okay, what do I think? So on the roof, things to do. Okay? Yes.
Warranties.
They also don't have to, did you get the kitchen sink? Did you get the sink? The kitchens, and that's one thing. Did you over here? Saying you didn't.
So I think they just looking for
We wrote down.
wherever it's at. Kitchen sink, wherever, but look for it.
It could be agents, buyers, sellers.
They'll guarantee the home inspection. They'll find all problems.
We added seller will fix all.
Seller will fix all.
Rather than,
Well, I know, but I think that's a misconception.
plumbers and electricians.
What's the value? I like
If
somebody
the
else
seller
said
has
that
a
home
pre-listing
inspection.
inspection, that inspection is working for the seller, and so they're gonna do things in the interest of the seller, like maybe not disclose something.
We don't inspect all areas of the house.
fact that
You can only inspect
share their,
home inspection report with the buyer.
Yeah, that's what they
Then we immediately.
See, in our state, they do. Considered a material fact.
well, the contents could be material facts, but they don't, but in our state, it's private, it's there, it's the buyer's property, they paid for it, it's theirs, but we have to share the material facts that came out of it.
What was it that they have to share the inspection report? That the buyer has to share.
That you don't have to share.
And I think on the other side of that, the seller.
Right.
They say that the seller, anything that's found has to go on their disclosure report. That is true in Arizona, but the buyer doesn't have to handle the service. Our
So
country,
there's a
the buyer
checkbox,
has
they
to.
agree or they don't.
Yeah, agrees to release the report. It's interesting, isn't it? Yesterday, here.
It's set. Halfway there.
That's with that, I think a lot of buyers.
Well,
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
The RSA that they can't rely on the information, so that's shared, but any information that you're looking at, they can't
Well,
rely on.
and amongst, maybe not amongst
Right.
the buyers, but amongst the brokers in our state, they don't know that radar is not required.
So the only person that can is
Okay, we have to stop. We have to stop. So I am going to give, John is going to be the facilitator here. Don't let them look if they're still writing. You should stop writing. It's over. And Kim is going to be the facilitator for this one. So what's going to happen, select someone from each group to tell us what you have collected. The facilitators, for whatever side you're on, they're going to check off if you've got something. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but close enough. And the one who gets the most points is. Okay, who wants to go first? What side?
We do.
Okay. None that we're competitive in any way.
No.
All right, Spencer's gonna be the
All right.
spokesperson.
So I'm just reading them and then Kim is checking them off.
Checking them off,
Okay.
right.
Home inspector will tell you if it's a good buy or not.
That's a good one.
Thank you, thank you. That was our team. That's team one, by the way. Y'all are team two.
But it's worded closely to that,
This
because
is
the
worded
words are not gonna
closely.
be exactly the same.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ready for the next one?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Home inspector will reveal termites. Whether there are or not termites. I'm gonna keep going, Kim, unless you tell me to slow down.
Okay, and I am, I'm having to read through them all.
And that's not on there,
Yeah,
but it doesn't,
Look at
it's
number
not a good
5.
answer.
that's right.
What he said probably would cover number 5.
Thank you. Okay, I'll take
Uh,
Teamwork for helping you out.
That's very, yeah, half a point for that.
Thank you.
That's a negotiation.
You guys
Guaranteed,
can split the point, how about that?
guaranteed home, they will guarantee the home condition. Home inspection will guarantee the home condition. The home inspector will find all the problems in the house, including hidden problems.
And just use your judgment if it's close enough.
The home inspection warranties all items. The home inspector will kill the deal. The home inspector will tell you how to resolve all problems. They don't tell you that ever. I'm sorry. The seller will fix all problems. Home inspector will tell you its worth or value of the property. The inspector will tell us if there is mold. They will inspect everything even if they don't have access to everything. Home inspection has no liability. Home inspector is hiding concerns. The home inspector works for the agent. The The home inspector works for the seller. The home inspector doesn't really inspect anything.
What did Teresa say? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How many more do you have?
That's it.
Okay, very good. You can hold the number that you had, John.
All right, let's hear them.
Okay,
Let's see,
Thank you,
if the home inspector has x-ray vision and can see inside the walls. If the inspector misses something, then they, on the report, and the inspection, then they have to fix it, if it's found later.
So the.
The home inspector
has to
fixes
fix
Yes, if they miss it on the inspection report, it's found later, they have to fix it. They're responsible, they're liable for it. They have to go on the roof. They have to look for and identify different mold types under cabinets and anywhere they might be found. That they can find everything. That a pre-listing inspector is working just for the interest of the seller and won't disclose everything. Am I going too fast again?
No, it's
It's
John.
Oh, John.
I'm not even looking at that, I'm just writing what you're saying, because then I'll go look at the numbers and see if you got it.
You're doing fine, Frank.
The buyer must share their inspection report. Inspector coordinates repairs. Radon is automatically included in inspection.
Yeah, we have different ones.
Yeah.
So ours, all inspectors are created equal and equally qualified. Everything will get fixed that they find. The inspector and appraiser are the same person.
Is that more than 15?
Then building code inspector and a home inspector are the same, so you don't need one if you have the other. And they're not all as detailed as this buyer would like.
We have some more.
That should be about
Okay.
12 or 13. Oh, good.
We got some more. We have, the same, all home inspectors are the same. That there is an assumption that they are licensed and have the final say on the transaction. That they have errors and omissions insurance. That buyers own the inspection and they have the right to share or sell that inspection. Also, a misconception is that sellers own the inspection and have the right to share or sell that inspection, and that all inspectors fit into the crawl space.
Well, thank you, Jessica, and thank you,
Marty.
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 So, you have.
I think that one should win that one.
Actually, all of the misconceptions that you guys gave are very good, and I need to add to the list. Because some of them are different, and some of them are spot on, exactly as I have them listed.
And that was the question I had. I only checked off things on the list that I heard, but they had quite a few that weren't on the list, and I didn't write those down. Should I have?
That's all right.
Go Chief, go Chief, go.
Everybody's attention?
On the list of 15 galore, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 off the list.
6 off the list.
Oh, so you had a list of all of them?
No, no,
She's got a list of 15 things.
Hey,
6 of those 15.
Let's see what the competitive is.
So who won?
I'm
still telling this team. See, there's 15, so I wrote everything you said, I'm looking to see if it hit the list.
We're
once we
even
pass
past the
6,
six,
yeah,
so
then
we
we're,
win.
that's right.
Yes.
Once you get 7, then you stop.
We don't care that we
We need to count our extra ones and then relay.
Frank, we want our mercy rules.
That's right.
I think we're
We may need a referee.
So, out of the list that I wrote here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Nice.
There were some now.
Yeah.
That's team 2, Spencer.
Yeah, let me write that down.
Okay,
Miss
so,
Woodward,
yes,
I have a question.
yes.
So when we look at the list of 15 common misconceptions, for home inspections, are the standards or requirements equal from state to state, or the?
No, they are not, and we're gonna talk about that. I'm glad that you brought that up. She wants to know if they're all equal in terms of the states that they come from, and no, they are not, and we're gonna get into that, because some states don't even require that they be licensed. Some states do not even regulate, and we're gonna talk about that. Thank you, Alicia, for bringing that up. Okay, why is a home inspection important? What would you tell your client, either buyer or seller, because either can get one, right? Yes, Mary?
For the same reason you go to the doctor every year and get checked up.
Yes, very good. It's like a checkup, like you're going to the doctor every year. Yes, Marty?
So the average home price or age in Arizona is 38. So our resale homes is our highest volume of sales. So you are most likely buying at least a 30 to a 38-year-old home.
Very good, thank you, Marty. She says that the average home age in the area here in Arizona is 38 years. So most people are buying a house that is at least 30 years or older. So a home inspection should be done. Thank you. Okay, you want to find out about what's minor and major. And for a seller, if they have the home inspection done before they list it, then they can take away a lot of the objections that the buyer's going to have, because it's going to fix things before they actually put it on the market. And so what are the responsibilities that you have as an agent to your buyer regarding home inspections? Yes?
To try to have them do all the inspections so that they either run away or they know what they're getting into.
So when you say,
I would rather a buyer, I would think that like if I had a buyer, I'd want them to know everything to make sure it's the right house. And if it's not, then I'd rather they go away rather than have that liability.
absolutely. So John says that in order for the buyer not to have the liability, if it's just not what they're looking for, then they should just go on. And thank you so much for that, John. And in my opinion, it's better to spend the $300 or $400, whatever the inspection costs, to find out if this is going to be the home for you. If it's not, then we can just move on. Yes?
My son-in-law happens to be a home inspector, and he has observed in his 7 years that some brokers will call him for an inspection when they're getting ready to buy a property, but some of those same brokers never send their buyers to him. They use inspectors that are not as detailed and not as thorough when they're selling property to buyers, and I think that would violate the agent's fiduciary responsibility to their client. And even if the buyer was a customer and that broker wasn't fully representing that buyer, they're still not providing reasonable customer service if they recommend someone they wouldn't pay if they were buying. My referral list, I only put people on my referral list that I would actually use.
Yourself, yes,
And-
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kim. Yes, Deb?
I think one of the responsibilities of an agent to their client is also to set the expectations, like these misconceptions that we just went over. Here's what they will do, here's what they won't do. You're gonna need other inspections in addition to this, and helping set that expectation so it's realistic.
Thanks, Deb, and you're actually going right in the direction that we're headed.
You're welcome.
Because it is very important that you do set the expectations. Okay, so the real estate agents, they're responsible to emphasize the importance of having a home inspection done. Have any of you worked with a client that says, oh, I don't do home inspections?
Yes.
And that is their prerogative. What do you do when they say that? Do you have them sign something? Say that?
Yes.
Cover yourself. Because you know, if something comes up, it's gonna be your fault. You didn't tell them, or what have you. Get it in writing. Again, there may be potential problems that you can't see without having a home inspection. And just educating them about the process, from start to finish. So who benefits from the home inspection in terms of the agents, and the seller or the buyer.
Everybody.
I think the buyer and the
Yes, John.
agent.
John says everybody, and everybody does. In what way? How about the buyer?
I believe that if you have an informed seller and an informed buyer, well, that's really what we want to work towards, because that's the best way to reduce their potential future liability, and if their liability is reduced, our liability is reduced.
Yes, thank you. It's gonna help to reduce the liability. So again, as John says, the buyer, the buyer's agent, the seller, and the seller's agent. Everybody benefits from having a home inspection done. So again, the main purpose is to discover if there are issues before the closing. How many times did you think that you had a closing? That you were going to have a closing on a specific property? I can remember being in a house with a lady, and I was asking her some questions. Are you sure this is the place for you? She had a baby grand. Is it gonna fit? She says, oh yes, she loved this house. She got the inspection. She went to sleep that night, and in the morning she changed her mind. And I'm glad that she did, because it just was not the place for her. You are better able to advocate for your client if they have a home inspection done, whether it's the seller or the buyer who's getting the home inspection. Again, if it's a pre-listing, fix the stuff before you even put it on the market. I've had properties where there were so many little things, we put it on, this was years ago before people were really getting home inspections. They took it off and fixed all the little things because they were visual. The home sold. As soon as we put it back on the market, same day. So you want to take care of those objections that they have. But again, as a seller's agent, you can better advocate for your seller if they have a home inspection. So let's look at professional home inspectors. Deb, you alluded to this earlier. Fact, not all states require licensure. Not all states do any type of regulation. Some states don't even require that they have insurance. Other states do. So it just depends on where the property is located, where the inspector is working. So the state will set minimum standards. So in Georgia, they're not required to have a license, but they are required to indicate that if they can't see it, they can't access it, they can inspect it. And of course, they have to have a written report. Yes?
Do they have to have any kind of training at all? Or could I just go and decide I want to be a home inspector?
It depends on the state.
No, but I'm talking about
In Georgia, I don't think they have anything that talks about your education. Some states will require CE. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not jumping on home inspectors. I am just we're looking at the whole gamut of it, both sides of it. Because I think a lot of them get a lot of bad rap where they really shouldn't. Unregulated. Does that mean he's a bad guy, that he's not gonna do a good job?
Not necessarily.
Absolutely.
Look
Look at that guy.
This guy.
This guy here.
Well, first of all, home inspectors, most of them belong to the national trade associations that require them to take certain education. They have to take CE classes. And just like we can get designations and certifications, different ones, they can do the same thing. Some organizations may offer classes where they can do mold. Generally, the home inspector does not do that. And they generally don't do pest inspections. But they can get an additional certification so that they can do that. Some of the trade organizations require that they have insurance as well. So currently, and I just got this off the internet last night, if you look at that source that I've given you, it will say that the date of the data is 2022, but nothing has changed. So there are 30 states in the country that require a license for home inspection, a home inspector, and 20 that do not. It is a visual inspection. They can't inspect what they can't see. And so part of the process, and we'll talk about this as we move forward, when you're preparing your seller to prepare their home to be inspected, make sure they move things. Like if a bookcase is in front of something that needs to be inspected, they need to move it, because a home inspector is not going to move anything. That's not their job to do that. So they need to make sure that everything is accessible. Because if it isn't, and the home inspector didn't know that something was back there, and now when the people move, and the new folks come in, they may see a gaping hole or something in the wall, or something where the electrical may not be. So, here are 4 things to remember. That the home inspection is unbiased. They don't have a dog in this show, okay, a pony or whatever you want to call it. They have no interest in whether the house sells or not. They're just coming to provide a service. It is systematic. They have a list, and if you've ever seen, I'm sure we all have seen a home inspector when they're collecting data. They have a little device, usually it's an iPad or something where they're actually putting the information in there, creating a report pretty much on the spot, which is why they can give it to you. It has a pretty quick turnaround time. Non-invasive. They're not going to pull the wall apart. They're not going to do any of that. Now, they do have some tools that can tell if there's moisture and so forth. But other than that, and again, it is a visual inspection. Scope of work. What do they do? What do they look at? Just like an appraisal. When you get an appraisal, there's a portion that says scope of work. The same here. There are systems. Typically, you're talking electrical, plumbing, and HVAC systems. Those are the systems that they're going to look at. Let's take a look at home inspection. 42 issues in under 3 minutes. Wait, hold that sound. Where's the sound here?
I'll take the sound.
Visual.
Very effective laugh.
Sound makes it sound nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if nicer is the word.
Entertaining, I should say. Because right now that's going.
But that's not how that's.
Don't worry.
Don't see a problem.
No, it's great, just got the audio. It's perfect.
I'd love to hear the sounds. I played this so many times.
Oh,
That's bad.
Oh.
Great paint job, right?
Normal. It's all normal.
Who needs damaged my house?
Yes, it is.
He's gonna have to fix that. He damaged it.
This would be a good video to show somebody that didn't want to go.
Hey, Frank,
Stop
geez.
looking my.
Now, he's probably digging through there because he's found something on the inside, and with the siding being there, just pull it out.
That is scary.
Oh.
By the way, I have this house coming on the market next week.
and in Charlotte, the bids start at?
Everything goes slow.
Don't make me fix.
Oh, man.
I need your video.
This thing would go to burn.
Oh, the air conditioners was put down.
And I think this is, he's saying there's definitely something leaking.
That engineer's report, funny, and then the funny engineer report, and funny.
Yeah, these guys are inspection.
They
take it together to show people why they need an inspection, what they find. Yeah, structure check one.
There's your crawl space.
YouTube, and then structure check one video. It's a great video.
Wow.
Awesome.
Nice video.
Love it. Great video.
Nice video.
Just go in and put in YouTube 42, home inspection, 42 issues in under 3 minutes. And then I think there's one that's 62 issues or whatever. So qualifying the home inspector, this is something that the buyer or seller, whoever is going to employ the home inspector, they're going to do that to qualify it. And as part of your counseling, you're going to tell them, help them to do that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can go to some of the trade associations. They have checklists. They have a lot of different things that would be helpful for them to qualify the inspector. Number one, you want to make sure that you cut your risk in half. You're only there as, you're facilitating the transaction is what you're doing. You're not making recommendations. You're not saying, oh, I've got a wonderful home inspector and he or she is just so thorough, I use them for everything. Don't do that. Let them choose. Again, that's overselling. Don't oversell anyone. Let them be the one to choose. And never, ever pick the home inspector for your client. You can give them a magic number 3. Yes, Deborah?
Is it okay if I schedule it myself as an agent?
Oh, sure, yes. You're gonna coordinate this with you're coordinating with everyone. The seller's gonna be available, when the buyer's gonna be available to do that. Thank you. Ever ask, is she be the one that actually schedules it? Yes, John?
But should I be the one to go through the inspection with my client and translate words like from microbial growth to mold? So my clients know what those words really mean. Is that my job?
So John is asking if he should be the one that's interpreting things as it goes along. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Great question. Yes, Frank?
Is it required for the agent to attend the home inspection with the?
Frank wants to know, should the agent be required? We're gonna get to that as well. Thank you, great questions. Never suggest that the buyer not have a home inspection. Let them be the one that says, I never get an inspection. That's what one of my investors says. I never get an inspection. One time he told me the insurance, he says, we don't use it, so. Yes.
What if your buyer is buying a new construction home? What do you do there?
This is a smart group. I am so glad. I'm not saying that that group is not smart. Talk about that. She wants to know about new construction. And yes, why would you not have one?
Well, my buyers always think if it's a new construction, there's nothing wrong with it.
And how many people do you know that have purchased new construction and there were a lot of issues?
Yes.
Yes.
I think forgot to put insulation in.
Yes, John. Thank you, Mary. Yes.
Flora, I'm curious, in Georgia, because I'm not Georgia, Arizona, and a lot of agents believe that the buyer has the right to do a new home construction before it closes. And builders in Arizona say, no, you don't. Because who owns the home? And so I'm curious if you see that in Georgia.
I personally, I've never sold a new home, number one, in Georgia. So I don't really know that they probably will come up with something to say that is not permissible. They may have something in their contract. But I think that I would try to get a new home inspected as well. And if they would not allow me to do it, then I would just go on to someplace else. Yes, John?
Laura, I'm just wondering, because I thought I heard you say in a different class that sometimes a lot of states have like a warranty for new construction after that, and if the builder contractor won't do that, what do you think about having the inspector come in like the week after closing and inspector to check the warranty issues?
Great idea. John said that even if the builder does not allow the inspection to take place before closing, what why would it not be a problem for the buyer to have someone come in after they close? And then that way, if they catch something, you know, then they can get it fixed. Oh, yes, John?
And you know, and to John's comment, that's what happens, because in Arizona, almost all of the builders, single property, custom build, a little different, but the big builders, they have that 1 year. What you see happening a lot is that you have an inspector coming in close to the end of the first year before that 1 year expires for the builder to come back in. So just curious.
Oh, that's good. Did you hear what John said, that they have, the person comes in, they have the inspector come in before that 1 year warranty is up? Yes.
Well, sorry, I put my card up. It's Jim.
So, your name is Jerry?
Jim.
Jim, okay.
Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm also in Arizona in Tucson, and our builders down there, I guess, John, are different than yours, because our age in Tucson, the builders will allow. In fact, we recommend, or have recommended, that buyers get a home inspection pre-drywall. That way, and then take a boatload of pictures, simply because of the fact that way you know what's behind the walls before that drywall goes in. And then at the same time, as walkthrough, the final walkthrough, which builders do, they have a final walkthrough, home inspection at that same time is recommended.
Absolutely, thank you, Jim. So Jim has said that the home inspection is something that definitely should take place, because you need to know what, and you could actually, I think that if I were a buyer of a new home construction, I would probably be in that house, if not every day, at least once a week. Having been a property tax assessor, I've done so many new constructions, you'd be surprised what's behind the walls. You'd be surprised. A lot of garbage sometimes. Beer cans, I'm serious. Again, never ask them not to have the home inspected. Okay, Article 11 says that we must demonstrate competence when we are counseling our clients. So whatever the counseling is for, whether it's for pricing or if it's for a home inspection. So you're also going to help your buyer to determine how they're going to qualify the home inspector. They want to find out what their credentials are. Did you have a question?
I have a question. What do you guys do when your buyer says, "Oh, my dad's going to inspect it. My uncle's going to come over and inspect it. They're good at what they know how to look at houses." What do y'all do when your buyer says that?
Tracy says, what do you do when they bring their family member in and someone? I'll tell you, when I sold my house in Michigan, I'm glad that they did bring in the brother-in-law who was a building inspector. Okay, he was in my house for probably less than 20 minutes. And he couldn't get in the attic, the scuttle, he could not get through. He just popped his head in and popped right back down, trying to save money. So, but you have that all the time. So you want them to know what their credentials are. They can get this information from the trade associations. If you know what trade association the inspector is a part of, you can look their name up. And if the name's not there, then what does that mean? Right, they're not a member, or whatever. It could be maybe because they haven't paid dues, or it could be that maybe that they were asked to leave for some reason. Liability insurance, do they have liability? Yes.
I was going to ask, are there certain organizations that are considered a higher standard than others that we would want to recommend?
The two big ones that I can think of is the NACHI and is it
InterNACHI, NAVI, and ASHI.
Oh, I should think you're right. Yeah, so you can check those organizations. And again, you can just go online and get the, put that information in to see the top companies or whatever, and give that information to your client so that they can do their own inspection. Want to know if they have liability insurance. Will you get a sample report? What's the scope of work? The sample report, and the sample should be from that inspector, not a sample of something that really didn't happen, but an actual copy of an inspection that they have done. That way you get a chance to see how that person prepares the report, if the photos that are there are representative of what it really looks like. You know, we see photos that when we get to the house, it's not really what the house looks like. So being able to see the sample report, plus the sample report should have that the inspector has insurance. All of that should be on that report. E&O insurance. Again, some states require, and some of the organizations require, and some states don't require anything. What are their references? Are there any online sources that they could go in and look to see for consumer ratings? Yes.
In
John.
Georgia, do some of those groups also have negligent referral insurance? So if the broker, if you're on the agents or brokers list and the inspector misses something that, and if they come after you for negligent referral, is that covered? Is that something that's allowed in Georgia? We have that in other states, but I didn't know if that was allowed in Georgia.
Okay, so John is asking if Georgia has something for negligent referral. So if I refer someone and they do a bad job, am I gonna be covered? I'm not really sure on that. I will find out and get back to you later. Thank you, good question. Yes?
I had the same question.
You did?
Yeah, I had the same question.
Great minds think alike, right? Now we're in the part 3, the actual reports. So there are several types of reports. The objective here is to explain, to talk about the importance of having the sample report, and also to tell them of the different types of reports. So the reports there are 3 main types, and they are the checklist, and it's just what it says, a checklist. And then they have the narrative, and then they have a combination. Basically, what we usually all see is probably a combination of the 2 things together. There are advantages and disadvantages for all 3 of the types of reports. The checklist is brief, it's simple, it's easy to read, that's an advantage. But a disadvantage is there's so much you gotta interpret what it means, because it's just check boxes or whatever. So it's not enough information. On the narrative, what you get to see is the inspector. Are they a good writer? Are they a good technical writer? A lot of the stuff is boilerplate. They're just pulling up certain things and changing things that are for that particular property. Now, a disadvantage of that is that they might miss something. The advantage is that it has pretty much everything you need. But when you put those 2 reports together, then you really have and that's what you typically see is the combined narrative and checklist. So again, you can see how the report is constructed, how they write, their qualifications. Again, we talked about this. Are the photos, do they accurately portray what's there? How can I view the report? Can I view the report on a phone? Everybody doesn't have a computer. You know, so maybe they're going to provide you with a copy. They're going to send you a PDF. You got to print it off or whatever, but they're going to provide you with something digital as well. The other thing is that some of the reports have an index, and the index allows you to go through and you can check, you can click on a certain areas if you're concerned about maybe what he found on the roof or whatever. So all those things are very important. So we just talked about the 3 different types. Anybody want to tell us what we just talked about very quickly? The 3 types of reports?
I like the narrative and the checklist and one or the other, and then the combination of the 2 being the best with the most information.
You're spot on.
Good job.
A miracle.
That's team one, by the way.
Okay, so-
Thanks for stealing your
Points for that.
We've already covered all of this. So here is the process. What is to be expected? Again, it's visual. Have your sellers make sure nothing is hidden behind anything. They're looking at the physical structure and the mechanicals. Water, electric, HVAC. They're also looking at everything, the doors, the windows, the sockets. Some of the trade organizations only require the inspectors to do a representative sample. There's a lady that has done some inspections for me. I love her because she's very thorough. I've had other people say she kills the deal. Well, why would you want your buyer to buy something that is not up to par?
Preach.
You know, if she takes 4 hours to do what she has to do and she finds stuff, she has her hand on everything that and she takes a picture of it. Very thorough. Okay, we talked about those. So for the seller, if they have a home inspection done up front, then they know what to repair or what to replace. Maybe not even to put the property on the market until that work is done. So what are some of the questions that the seller might ask? They're gonna wanna know, first of all, they're gonna know, how much does it cost? What are they gonna look at? What are they not going to look at? Again, how long does it take? Can I see a sample report? We've already talked about all of that. So, number 5 is to explain how to get the property ready for the inspection. We've kind of talked about that throughout this class, that they need to make sure that everything is accessible. They need to make sure that all the utilities are on. How many of you have gone to have a home inspection done and the lights are off? They can't check any of the electrical. They can't check to see if the dishwasher is working or what have you. Make sure the pilot lights are lit because they're not required to do that. Make sure that nothing's blocked. Everything's accessible. Yes, John?
On one of your slides, you said to have the attic space be accessible. Did you need to cut the whole vigor for the?
What was he doing?
No, it's just, you know what, and there was actually nothing up there. He just stuck his head in. So everything, I've been places where the electrical panel had a lock on it. So you need to have some type of checklist to give to your seller so that they can make sure that nothing is locked up or nothing is blocked. Sometimes, oh, by the way, if you know, there are a lot of dog lovers.
Yes.
I'm not one of them. The only dog I ever loved was Max. My granddaughter's dog, who is no longer here, but at any rate, crate your dogs.
That's right.
Crate them or move them. Everybody doesn't want to deal with dogs. So, as a buyer's agent, repeat after me, I will not attempt to do the inspector's job.
I will not attempt to do the inspector's job.
Amen.
Stay out of his way.
I will not influence the buyer's decision.
I will not influence the buyer's decision.
And the seller's agent, I am only here as a facilitator. To come in, to open up, make sure the lights are on, make sure everything is closed up. It may take 2 to 3 hours. The final report, there will be 5 major categories. The 5 major categories, they're gonna be the roof, the foundation, and then the systems, the plumbing, electrical, HVAC. The buyer's gonna have final questions that we're gonna ask afterwards. But typically, if they read the report is usually quite thorough, and they will probably get their answers there. These are just a list of questions that they will probably ask. This is what we want to get to happy clients, whether they're a buyer or the seller, and get the property sold. Thank you. Hope you learned something today, and thank you for your participation. Well, it looks like I got a minute left, so we're not done. Q&A. So are there any questions?
Do we ever establish whether the agent has to attend the home inspection?
Oh, okay. That's gonna vary. I would never, as my client, I would never not be there. That is part of the service that I give. I just keep my mouth shut and mind my business because I'm not an inspector. But I can maybe see things that maybe someone else might not see, or if no one was there. For your seller, I'm sure would want you to be there. That's a service that you're providing.
So would you say you have to stay the whole 2 or 3 hours that it takes to do this?
I have stayed from start to finish. Yes, John. Thank you, Frank. Great question.
So Flora, when you're a listing agent and the inspector comes to visit with you about all the things they found, is there a polite way for me to say what I need to say?
So the inspector is not gonna give you anything because it's not your report. The report is gonna go to the buyer or whoever paid for it. And the only way that we as agents are gonna get that report is if the buyer says, send it to them. Thank you, John.
Let's give the Lord another.